Action.
Action.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to our first ever episode of the Totally Unqualified podcast.
That's us. We are totally unqualified.
So we've decided to create this podcast, a little mother-daughter situation, if you haven't noticed.
Yes.
To give advice, to talk about current issues, and we find ourselves to be entertaining, perfect, hilarious,
Imperfect.
funny,
Fight all the time. Oh my God.
living together.
Yes, we do.
Me living with you, actually.
Okay. I do want to say something. I want to do this podcast because I feel like it's a really hard time in the world right now, and that your generation has a different perspective than mine on things. And I feel like there's so much I don't know that I need you and your people to teach me. And I feel like my generation has been through a lot. And there's a lot, I think, of advice that we could give. So hopefully this will be fun and good, but we'll see. Lots of fighting.
You're going in very negative.
No, I'm not negative.
We're not going to fight on the podcast.
We are totally going to fight on the podcast. Let's move on.
Okay. I'm bringing up the game plan. Also, just to go in before we go into everything, if you want advice from us, if you want to keep up with what we're doing, if you want sneak peeks of the podcast, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Totally Unqualified Podcast or Totally Unqualified Pod. It will come up. And we will be posting on Spotify, Apple Music, and wherever you get your podcasts. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be called Totally Unqualified because that's what we are.
That is what we are. Ask us questions. Moms, parents, ask questions. Okay. Let's go.
So, section 1, beginning, segment 1, is our love and hates of the week. Mm-hmm. We have been going through our whole week deciding what we liked and what we didn't like.
Yeah, I'm gonna go right out there and say I had my high school reunion. It was a big number. 40. Was it 40? I think so. Oh my God. Anyway, had my high school reunion this week. It is reunion season. I know lots of people who've been. And I was trepidatious going in. I really thought about not going. I haven't been to very many. And you know what? It was the greatest. I had such a good time. It was so fun seeing people. Everyone was so nice. I felt very loved. It was like the greatest time. It was super fun. So if you're ever scared to go to your high school reunion, you should go, particularly in the later time. In the beginning, I don't know.
It seems like Ellen was the belle of the ball.
I was not the belle of the ball, but I really had a good time. It was really fun. And we did a lot of laughing. And I reconnected with lots of old friends. So that was really good. So that is my love of the week. Go to a high school reunion, even if you feel like the end of high school was not great for you, possibly, and you might
what
not
if
have
all
been...
of high school wasn't great
yes.
for you?
You know what? In high school, you feel like you're not yourself because you don't know yourself for so many people, right? Some people peak, some people don't. I feel like I was not who I am now. I had to like go on my journey, and I didn't want to go back and be like, oh my God, let's revisit that person. But it was really okay. So I think you should go.
When do they have high school reunions? Every 10 years?
I think every 5. Some do every 5. I think it's up to the high school. You could
I would never go to the 5-year one.
I don't know what they do in New York City. We live in New York City. I don't know if they do reunions. I grew up in the suburbs.
Okay. So that was your love of the week?
Yes. What's yours?
I'm forgetting. Oh, I remember my love of the week. Okay. So my love of the week is I love going out to dinner, going to a restaurant, and having amazing service. So this week, I had a waitress that went above and beyond every expectation I've ever had going out to a meal. She was giving awesome suggestions. She was really curating the meal. And I've just decided that having a good person helping guide you through your meal can really make it or it can break it. And then I was thinking about it, you know, like when you have someone argumentative and your food isn't coming on time and you're too scared to confront them, and then it becomes a whole thing, and then you're like, oh my God, like now it's a whole thing. I'm not getting my food. I'm having an issue. What am I tipping? But when it's like a seamless experience and you feel like you're walking into somebody's home, it makes the dining experience exponentially better.
Don't you think it has a lot to do with the customer, though? I mean, I am a former waitress of many, many years of when I was growing up, and Dad was in the restaurant business for a while. So I've been on that other end. Sometimes the wait staff is not polite because the customer is not polite, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got to go in.
But we both went in with mutual excitement.
And admiration, I would say.
Yes. We went in. I was excited to go out. We went to, what's it called? Four Horsemen, which is a nicer restaurant. But we went in.
No idea what it is.
We went in excited. And she was excited to have us. And it felt like if I'm going out to a nice meal, like, I want to feel that excitement and energy, and she delivered, and it really was. And I didn't even love the food. I loved the service.
Okay.
I can say I didn't love the food on the podcast.
You can totally say whatever you want on the podcast. I just think, yes, I agree. Service is everything, right? Service makes everything. And we just have to really support our service.
Well,
people.
I also do feel like, if we're being honest, I know you did say that it depends on the clientele as well as the person, and that dictates the relationship. But don't you also kind of feel like when I worked in retail, there were people that were rude to me, and I was not rude back to them?
Agree, but it really dampens things, right? Like, when I waitressed, people treated me like I was stupid. I am a lot of things, and I am not a lot of things, but I am not stupid, right? I'm definitely not stupid. And that was really upsetting. It's like, you're judging me for some weird criteria. And of course I gave good service, but I wasn't happy about it.
No, I agree. I'm just saying that I don't think it's always the case that good service is always given.
No, I agree.
And I think that when you work a service job, like the 5 years I worked retail, and like when you waitress, that sometimes you just have to suck it up.
True.
And
in life, listen, in any job, sometimes you gotta just suck it up.
All right, so
okay, those are our loves.
Our loves.
Hate.
Did you like my love?
I only kind of liked your love. I don't know.
It really like impacted my meal. Like, I thought that it was just above and beyond.
Okay. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. See, we don't agree. Hate. I'll tell you what I hate, and I'm sure every parent and anybody in my generation feels this way. I really hate when you use your phone, particularly at the dinner table, because you live home with us. It is so rude. It is not respectful. You are addicted to your phone, as is your generation, and I think the phone is the source of all evil. I'm going to be honest, right? Like, you guys are checking it all the time. What is so important? Be present in the conversation. It drives me freaking crazy.
I agree.
And yet you persist.
Sorry, everyone. I agree. I have a problem detaching. I'm not denying that.
But why?
I think that it's because the phones are addicting. I think that they literally make them. I know. I agree. I do.
You know how you guys are also anxious? Your generation's super, super anxious. We did not grow up as anxious. I know the world's different. I know, like, we could debate this all day long. But you guys have pressure immediately at your fingertips, and you are buying into that. And you need to put that away to be present in a moment. Because otherwise you're feeling like you're not keeping up. People are on social media. They're posting things that don't look real. I mean, it's so not reality.
I think that this goes into kind of a more universal issue, which is I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about how in schools it has been a huge issue to get rid of students' phones. And do they get rid of them when they enter the school? Do they put them in cubbies?
I'd like to tell you what I saw
Kids
this weekend
are
at
addicted
the
to them,
reunion.
and they like put them in these magnetic sealed bags. Have you seen that?
No, but at the reunion this weekend, because we bring it back to the reunion, we toured the new high school. And in the room, we went into a classroom, there was like a shoe bag with everyone's name, and everybody had to turn off their phone and put the phone in the shoe bag. And it's the way they take attendance, and the kids have to turn it off, and so they know that everyone's phone is in there. And I thought that was really smart.
Yeah, but what if kids like
What, have two phones?
Yeah, or something like that.
I mean, that's just bullshit.
Well, then you're just really
All right,
addicted.
let's move on.
Okay, so my hate of the week is niche, but my hate...
God.
What?
Okay, what? What's the hate?
My hate of the week is that Charlie XCX, our girl of the summer, put on a performance in upstate New York, and I decided to be committed to my job, and I could not go to her pop-up concert. And it was, the first time in my life where I had to work over going to something that I wanted to do.
Okay.
And it was a
Eye-opener?
introduction into adulthood a little bit.
Welcome to the rest of your life.
I haven't had any overlap ever before where it was like either working or this. It usually is like my 9 to 5 and then whatever I want to do after I'm able to do. This fell within the 9 to 5 range, so I couldn't go. And I was like, wow, I really feel like a grown-up. I'm prioritizing my job.
And so were you upset? Like really upset, or did you say like, oh, I get it now, I have to make choices?
No, I get it. I completely get it. But it is a little bit stark to know that your free will is a little bit limited now, being an adult.
That's a pretty privileged perspective.
Oh my God.
Why? Well, that's lucky that
Obviously,
you're 23.
It's
that
lucky
you haven't
I
had
get
make
to
that
live
decision?
yes, it's lucky I get to live at home. It's lucky that this is my first full-time job. I'm very lucky, but I'm also just saying that it's never been a situation in which the timing overlaps.
Yes. I will say, in your defense, I'm not really sure, just from where I sit, whether or not the concert should have been held during the week, right? Like, I get it, pop-ups, I get it, but wouldn't you pop up in the evening or pop up on the weekend to maximize crowd potential?
I think it added to the secretive lore going to upstate New York and, early on a Thursday. What is this? What are we doing vibe?
Yeah, I getcha.
But I've never had to do that before. And especially when you're in college, like blowing off a class, you get 2 absences or whatever.
Right.
Not that I did that.
All the time.
Never.
Always.
Never.
Okay, continue.
But
I get it.
you don't get 2 absences from work.
No. Well,
You get a wellness day or whatever.
no, but there are some places that say, and different, depends what kind of job you have, but some say just as long as you get the work done, right? But I think that was good. That teacher's responsibility. I feel like that was very good. Good job.
Thank you. I could have said I had a bellyache.
You could have. Okay,
I
let's go
wouldn't.
to our second segment.
All right.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
We're deciding to give advice now. Everybody hold on to your seats.
Hold your horses.
Hold your horses. I need my glasses for this one.
Okay, so we had some of our listeners, some of our fans write in to the podcast to ask us for some advice.
Yeah, let's read them.
Okay. So, also this listener said that we could use her name, so we're shouting out best friend Amanda.
Good job, Amanda. Thanks for the question.
First one to write in. We are so happy. So Amanda said, "Hi, my favorite duo. So excited for this pod. As you know, I'm kind of at this in-between stage in my life. I'm trying to pass the nursing exam, I'm trying to find a job, and I'm potentially moving to New York City. And that comes with a lot of unknowns and anxiety. Could use some advice on to how best build a routine in these weeks where I don't have too much structure and how to best cope with so many unknowns about the future. Love you, Queens.
Okay, I got. Do you want to take it or you want me to take it?
No, I think you should start.
All right, Amanda, I wrote you notes, by the way, because I really had to think about these. Okay, so I think that sometimes we are so focused on moving forward and having a goal. And Amanda, you are going to end up being a nurse. You're going to work a lot of hours. You are going to get a job for sure. So sometimes it's okay to take the minute and be a little unstructured, which sometimes feels uncomfortable, but maybe you could enjoy it for a minute. So that was like my first thought. But then if you feel like you want to move beyond that and feel a little more structured in this time, I was thinking of practical because I'm a pragmatist. So I was thinking of practical things that you could do. So I was thinking if you committed to one small thing and decided to do, I don't know, like work out or meditate in the morning, or I don't know what it is, I think that might help you start your day with committing to one small thing in the morning. And then what I used to do is put together a schedule and fill in the things I wanted to fill in for the week, or if I had a job interview or this or that. And then you could build your schedule around that.
That was kind of what I was thinking when Amanda wrote this in. First, I think a to-do list and just like getting everything that she needs to do in one place, whether it be like study these chapters or, you know, look at apartments in New York for this amount of time. I think that is helpful just so you have it all in one area. But beyond that, I think that just saying to yourself and committing to, you know, I want to go to a workout class 2 times this week. What? Not me. I'm talking about Amanda.
Ask Ava if she's ever committed to anything with exercise. Someone ask, please, I beg you.
Okay.
Okay, continue.
I did Pilates for a little while.
A little while. An instant. A minute, and it was gone. Okay,
so continue. I think that having non-negotiables is really important, and saying that no matter what, I'm not going to sacrifice these things that make me happy, whether it is, you know, working out twice a week, going on a drive to Target, doing whatever like releases a little bit of tension. I think that is important. I also do think that I don't agree with you.
Okay.
Sorry. I don't agree with the living in the minute situation, because as somebody who is Amanda's age and her peer and her friend, I think that you don't really feel like you have time to do that.
No, but that's my point.
I know.
You do. You guys are so young. You've got loads of time.
I know, but when you have something as pressing as a nursing exam coming up,
understand that.
It does feel like a little bit of like your mom like telling you that it's all going to work out, which I know we all know it is going to work out, but in a very practical way.
Right.
Not we hope. It always works out in some way.
Well, yes.
Your mom saying like, yeah, it's going to work out and you're going to get it done. Like, you know, sometimes you need to have the more structured, like, yeah, I actually have to study for 5 hours today. What I'm saying I have to go to the library.
Yes, but can't she put that in there, like structure, like I have to study here, I got to look for a job here. But once you write that in, that should feel a little better. And then you could have some unstructured time. Like, she is going to end up taking that nursing exam. She is going to end up looking for a job. It's okay for a minute. It's all going to work out. I mean, that's really the bottom line. It's all going to work out, Amanda. It just feels uncomfortable when we are without boundaries, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I also do think that there's a little bit of a disconnect between writing that stuff down and planning it and actually doing it. And to search for that internal motivation is difficult. I guess the way that I search for internal motivation is just thinking about what the alternative is. Like, The alternative to me not going to the workout class, the alternative to me not studying for the exam is I'm going to like sit in bed all day and I'm going to love that in the minute, but then I've lost that time, and in that time I could have done something. And I think pushing yourself to do things is challenging.
It is, for sure.
But I also know that in something like a nursing exam and moving to New York City, that's aspirational. That's a goal.
Right.
It's something she wants to do.
Right.
So I'm not questioning your motivation, Amanda. We know you're motivated.
You can also break it down, right? Like, what would it take to move to New York? Finding an apartment. How much can you afford? Where do you want to live? Who would you live with? You know, you can break big things down into small pieces and focus on one or the other first. That would help. And also, to your point about wanting to stay in bed all day, you always feel better when you get up and do something. Always. You just feel better when
it does feel more productive.
Even though it is so hard to push yourself, you're always happy when you do it.
Yes.
Amanda, I hope we were helpful to you.
Also, stay tuned for Amanda and I living together ?
Oh, Amanda, look, there's a question answered. Okay, we have a second question.
But we're going to call in some
we're going to call in the reserves because she is funnier and better than we are and more qualified. We're calling our friend Pumpkin. I call her Consigliere. Alzeva Giles, I'll tell you why. Because in The Godfather, there was Robert Duvall, who was a consigliere. He counseled the family on all matters. And this is my childhood friend, who I call consigliere. She calls me consigliere. And
Hello.
She is a guide.
Hi, Pumpkin. Hold on. Pumpkin's leaving where she is currently stationed.
Okay.
To get to a quieter space.
On,
yes, I'm going to put her on speakerphone in 1 second.
Okay. Pumpkin needs a little minute to get herself together. We're running late.
We are running late today. We are
It's
running
okay.
late. We need to insert the Jeopardy music.
No. Isn't that copyrighted? You can't do that. No doing that. No doing that.
Ken Jennings, I don't like you.
That is so unfair. I love you, Ken Jennings. Don't listen to Ava. See, we disagree about everything.
Pumpkin, are you there? Okay, we're putting you on speaker.
Okay, here she comes.
Hi, Pumpkin.
Hello.
Consigliere, hello.
Yes, hello.
I've just described what a consigliere is and why you are one.
Welcome to the podcast. Can you hear us okay? All right. We have a piece of advice that we had a listener write in, and we're going to read it to you, and we would love your hot takes.
Okay, it's her question. So, dear pod, I need some help knowing if it's going anywhere with a boy that I like. We've been on a few dates and text a good amount, but I can't tell if it's going to be something more. How can you tell when it might turn into a relationship versus when it's just casual? In need of totally unqualified advice. What do you got there?
So my first thing is, if it's easy and they do what they say they're going to do, it could go somewhere. Meaning, if he says he's calling you on Tuesday for plans for the weekend, and he doesn't call you on Tuesday, and then he writes to you on Thursday and says, I was very busy, that's not a great sign. Because if they want it as much as you want it, and it could go somewhere, then they come to the table and do what they say they're going to do. So I would say that would be my barometer. Like, look, did he do what he said he's going to do? Don't make excuses for him.
So, Consigliere, I have a question for you. There are some guys that kind of play games, right? Like they're in touch, then they're not in touch, they're in touch, then they're not in touch. Has that ever worked out for anyone we know? I'm thinking about it. Because usually people in a relationship...
Because I think timing is a big factor, right? So they're either not ready and they're putting up playing games because they're not really ready to be in a relationship. They want to fool around, and that's fine if you do too.
I think they call it hookup. It's not a
relationship.
Consigliere, I think they call it hookup.
No, they do. But I just say fool around.
I do too. Because we called it fool around.
I could say the nasty, I could say phone, but I did it.
Okay, so what is she supposed to do? Is she supposed to wait
There's
around?
also a layer of not wanting to seem too desperate. Like she doesn't want to seem like the one that wants to see him more than he wants to see her.
Yeah, and I'm going to say I think that's bullshit, right? And Consigliere, I'd be curious to know what you have to say about this. But guess what? The best relationships, Dad, was very straightforward. I think we should go out, is what Ava's father said to me when we met and the first night we met. I really appreciated that. I feel like if you're going to play games, it is not going to work. Like maybe be straightforward. I don't know.
I'm going to agree with you because I think the person who's playing a game isn't really committed. They're not ready to be vulnerable to someone. And sometimes that's a character flaw, like it will be there for life. And sometimes it's just a moment in their life. That's where the timing part comes in. I was thinking about it. I don't know anyone that worked out for when they played games that stayed married.
Yeah. See,
wow, that's an interesting take. Like they got married, but they got divorced.
Yes, because I'm thinking of someone who they played games and they fell in love, but the truth was it wasn't a mature relationship. They didn't deal with all the important stuff, and then eventually that becomes too much. Like maybe the attraction's terrific. Look, I always say this about an engagement. Like let's say someone gives you a diamond ring. Isn't that exciting? And all the attention's on you, and they congratulate you. And the next thing you know, you're planning a huge party, and it's fantastic. And wait, there's more. There's a vacation afterwards, a honeymoon, and then all of a sudden you're stuck with that person.
Forever.
Right? How many people? Forever. But how many people do we know who were married 18 months?
Right.
Ellen, we know a lot of people who were married 18 months. I can count 4.
Yes.
Like without hard
you get sucked in and you go down the route. And with dating, I think that happens too, right? I'm thinking about people who sort of got sucked in, went down the route, and they were never really happy. Like the guy was not really good. I always feel like if the person you're with is looking past you when you're with them, ditch them.
Can I say something that you guys might not agree with?
Yes.
I kind of feel like if the energy is there. Like, I'm not saying that every relationship has to click immediately, but there is something to be said from when the initial meeting is just really good. And that can dim, but sometimes I just feel like people my age don't like to admit when something just doesn't feel right. Like I feel like internally when it's really good.
I 100% agree.
Like
I have something to add. I was single longer than all my friends. My husband was my first serious relationship. Sure. I dated someone for 3 months before. I knew within day 2 that they were just for practice. I was going through the motions, to see what it was like. But they weren't for me. I know that. But if you're so desperate to be with someone because you don't want to be alone, which I think is very often a factor for people, especially because the world's lonely right now, I think then you fall prey to that. I think you have to really be honest with yourself. Like, does this bring out the best in me? Does this person require excuses? If someone requires excuses, it's no good. But can I go back to the original call? Ava, you said something. I didn't get enough detail about what things were going on in their relationship to make a decision as to whether she was.
Well, I can give a little bit of background because I know this person and I know the situation, but I think it's been like she's seeing this guy casually and they've been going on dates and they've been really liking each other. And I don't know if it's a matter of her not wanting to ask for something more, because I don't think that's what it is. I think that she's kind of in this phase of trying to scope out if the vibe is, oh, he just wants it to be casual, or does he actually like me? And I know that they're consistently seeing each other. I don't know if he has, I think a few months.
Then she has the right to ask.
Although, I'll tell you, Consigliere, I'm thinking of someone I know who would know tangentially, who had to do a lot of work to pursue her relationship, and they had stayed married for 30 years, and they finally did get married. She did ultimately have to give him an ultimatum for a long time after they'd been dating. But I know 2 people like that, who the woman had to kind of keep going and not pursue, just kind of go along, and finally laid it down, and they both got married, and they both stayed married. So it goes against what I would do, but
Yeah, but her gut told her stay in it, right? Her
Right.
gut was like, this guy just needs more time. This guy needs more time before he commits.
but there was a lot of
He's
angst
the guy, I think.
yeah.
So I think that our conclusion is that you kind of, which is not a great answer, but you kind of deep down, I feel like, know if the vibe is there.
Well, which vibe, right? Is it like the X factor? Because I feel like you always have an X factor with somebody that you are positively dating, right? Like there's just some sort of energy that like you get each other. So there's that, but there's also the vibe of I think you can tell if somebody is in it. I think you're right. What do you think, Consigliere?
I think I always trust my gut. Like I know I could go through the motions just because it's happening, but I know in my heart whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing. But I know a lot of people who don't make decisions, can't make decisions, waiting for the other person to make a decision, right? In which case it would be the guy. I think strong women should trust their gut and say that's for me or it's not for me.
Right. So what she should probably do is, if she's in it and wants to know, I'm saying push the envelope and ask.
Yeah.
Why not?
I think that people my age have a problem doing that, though. I think that people in general have a problem doing that, but girls my age have a problem doing that because you don't want to seem like you're too thirsty for it. You don't want to seem like you're more into it. But at the same time, like,
why waste your time?
Yeah, exactly. Why waste your time waiting for them to give you reassurance? And some people are like, I don't want to be the one to bring it up. Like, he should be the one to like me. But it's like, if you like him, then why don't you just tell him? Or her.
Whoever the relationship is.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to agree with that, but I think that comes to a strong woman character who can actually say it. So not everybody is that. But I think that's what it takes to be in a healthy relationship, to ask for what you want. And I always say this, Ellen, you've heard me say it. If you can identify what it is you want in a relationship, whether it's a friendship or a romance, if you can identify what it is that you want in a romance or relationship that you're not getting, and you ask for it and you still don't get it, you know where you are. You're done.
Totally.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Him, how flattered would you be? Turn the tables. How flattered would you be if some guy said to you after dating a few months, I'm never really sure where this was, and I didn't want to push it, but I like you, and I'd like it to be something. How are you feeling about it? What's the worst that happens? You get rejected? No one dies from rejection.
Although you feel like you die from rejection. You do die a little. Let's be honest.
Okay, but it's over. You die temporarily. It's like
But then you need your friends who will say to you, you're a beautiful girl with a lot to offer.
That's right, BGLTOs.
All right, Consigliere,
thank you, Pumpkin.
So much, Pumpkin.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, we're up to that was good.
Pumpkin was amazing.
Yeah. So friend who is on the dating scene, I think if you can, you should ask because you need to know. All right.
And then you could see other eligible bachelors if it's just not the vibe.
Right.
Let's move on. We're young.
Exactly. Beautiful girl with a lot to offer. Maybe we should say beautiful person with a lot to offer. Okay. Let's go to our third segment, and we will go. Is this too long? Are we going too fast? Too slow? Let us know.
I feel like this is like
we're chatting.
This is our pilot.
Our pilot. I think we're doing a lot of chit chatting. Maybe go faster.
Oh my God. Pumpkin's review is in. Pumpkin said that was a lot of fun.
Oh, Pumpkin, we'll have her back.
Oh my
Pumpkin's
God.
coming back.
Yeah, let us know how you feel about Pumpkin. We love her. We love her advice.
So let's go to our third and last segment, which is...
We're getting a little serious. So I was thinking, or we were thinking together about what we felt like isn't being talked about, what really would make this show different than any other podcast. And we're in a unique situation where we have an intergenerational, close mother-daughter relationship, and we're kind of going to do the awkward stuff for you, which is have conversations that often mother or daughters find difficult to have with each other, talk about topics that might be weighing on either one of us, but also just kind of get a feel for how the other person thinks. So we're not starting off this week super serious.
We're not, because I couldn't. But I do want to say, we'll talk about sex. We will talk about drugs. We will talk about other things of importance. I really want to talk about work too, because I feel like your generation is really struggling in the workforce, and how women particularly how to position themselves, and it's really difficult. But we're starting a little easy on this one. So let's dive in.
So, and I chose this topic because I know that we happen to disagree about this. And so I also kind of wanted to give everybody a taste of when it's not us just agreeing with each other.
Okay, we're talking about gossiping. Let's talk about it, because guess what? I feel like your generation gossips a tremendous amount, and it really drives me crazy. And I feel like nothing good ever comes from talking about somebody else. I know we all gossip, we all do it. I really try hard not to, but I feel like people trade, it's like currency. They trade in information, and there is a line between like recounting a scenario and gossiping, and I feel like you gossip a lot.
I love gossip.
It's
It's
really
my
bad.
favorite thing.
It's unacceptable.
I love gossiping. I think that it's a part of life. I think that it's also just, I feel like I am aware enough of what's going on in the world. I'm talking about myself. I feel as though I'm aware enough about what's going on in the world. I have pop culture knowledge. I have news knowledge. I really try to keep myself well informed. I read and I watch TV, and I try to balance it all. And so to me, gossiping is a little bit of that gray area where I get to be not super informed and can talk about talk about the dumb things that are happening in my life that, kind of connect you with your friends, because gossiping with your friends makes you feel closer to them. Although when it's at the expense of somebody else, obviously that can feel distancing in a relationship.
And also super mean. I mean,
but
it's
everybody
mean.
does it. Everybody does it.
But it's not, that's okay. And if everybody walks outside and shoots a gun and kills
I
somebody,
know,
is that
I
something
know,
to do?
I
No.
know.
I mean,
But I
really?
don't.
That's not an answer.
But I don't think that it's a lack of having things to talk about. I think it's more used as like an outlet to disconnect, to talk about, the more mundane things. Like, we're not going to
you talk about other people, I think it's not cool, right? Because it's not nice. Do you want other people talking about you? No. I feel
But
like
I
we should
know
be
other
civil
people
to
are
each other.
talking about me. I know it's happening.
Possibly, because you're talking about them, and they're probably saying you're a bitch.
They're not saying that.
Yeah, possibly.
I also feel like, for me, I know a lot of people say this, but I genuinely do feel this way. I feel comfortable with the gossip that I say out of my mouth, saying it to the person's face.
And have you ever been burned? Have you ever said something to about someone, and then you've seen them and they're like, I heard you talk shit about me?
Yeah.
Because I know someone we're very close to, not saying who just had this happen. And it felt really bad for this person that we know, when the person that we know talked about them and they were confronted, and it was horrible in person.
I guess the idea of, confronting about gossip, this idea that, like, I heard you were saying bad things about me.
Yeah.
Like, you're gossiping with the wrong person.
Oh my God.
But
you can't.
But also,
that is just so wrong.
You're talking to the wrong person.
You're doing the wrong action. I hear you about, I see what you're saying about, like, it brings you closer to your friends and you share something, it's inside information. I get it. But when you're talking about other people, I think it's damaging and damning. And I think that you're going down a slippery slope there.
I don't disagree with you, but I also am just curious as to what the alternative is. You're not going to tell your friend every time they're pissing you the fuck off. You're not going to be like, yeah, Ellen, 2 days ago when we went on a coffee date, you were a fucking bitch and I hate you.
That is untrue. I'm going to say that as I've gotten older, my friends and I do confront each other, right? You were really upsetting me. You said something that really, I recently had something with Pumpkin, right? We had a minute of like, and we've known each other since we were 12, and we just didn't click on something. And so I can't remember which one of us said something. She did, because she's very good. She said something to me, and so we had it out, and it's like, fine.
I know, I guess, but I think that's something that comes with age.
I think so, but it's so much better. Like, clear the air. If you have something that you're going to say about somebody, I know that you also gossip about people who you're not that close to, right?
That's the best.
So
that's the best. The speculative gossip is the best. Like, come on. Like,
I know.
Knowing who broke up. Like, you love that shit too. Don't even make it up. You love that.
It's true. It's true.
You love the comings and goings.
About it. I just want to know it. Is it better? Is it okay to know it but not talk about it? I don't know.
Like, all of my friends just went to a music festival together and I didn't go. And I just wanted, like, the little recap of if anything happened. But
isn't that recounting? Like, what's the line between gossip
and right. There wasn't really, there also, like, wasn't anything that anybody was like, oh my God, this happened. Like, there wasn't, a big situation that everybody comes back from the trip and is like, and she said this and whatever. It was, like, drama free, I would say, or from what I've been told. So I guess that hearing about the trip didn't feel
recounting.
Yeah.
Okay, I do have one question and then we'll wrap it up really quickly. What about, know what I think is hard? If, let's say you're with somebody and you know that the other person cheated, right? No. That's the wrong one. Like, if you are with somebody and I saw that person cheating, do I then tell you?
Yes.
Because you know other people are talking about it. And I think that is something interesting, right?
Mom, we lived through this.
We did?
What do you mean?
Okay.
Our very close friend, my very close friend, got cheated on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. When you said it like that, I was like, Dad? Like, you
no,
what?
My very close friend got cheated on.
Never cheated.
And the 12 of us in the friend group didn't know.
Yes.
And a lot of people around us knew.
Right.
And only one person told somebody in the friend group.
Right. So I guess the question is, but if the 12 of you knew, is it your responsibility to tell
obviously.
Well, I don't know that it's always obvious, right?
If it's not your friend, then
there are a lot of people who've seen like someone's spouse cheating and not said anything.
The thing that is then called into account is your relationship with the person who's getting cheated on.
Right.
Is your loyalty to the spouse? If your loyalty is to the cheating spouse, then you're not going to tell the partner if they cheated because you're closer with the spouse.
Yeah, but it also, I'm just going to say I would 100% tell somebody if their spouse is cheating because I think that is the right thing to do. But I could see why people don't, because they're wading into the relationship and they don't want to be the person who broke up the marriage, right? Like somehow that person who recounts is somehow being blamed rather than, eventually the spouse gets blamed. But the person's mad at the friend for a while, right? Yeah. And I think that's probably human nature.
Well, yeah, but I think people my age have started to grow past that a little bit. I do.
So you want to know.
Yeah. Not everyone.
Right. Okay, well,
But if Michael was in the streets with some, like, Sally Sue, I'd want to know.
There could be people with the name Sally Sue who were taking offense to this.
I like the name Sally Sue SS.
Okay, I think we've beaten this topic to death, although I still think it's really bad. I think it just doesn't. It's gonna bite you in the butt.
Gossip, I love you. I'll never stop.
Very bad.
Mwah.
Okay, so our first podcast.
That was done. It was good.
We hope you learned something.
So follow us on TikTok, follow
Yes.
us on Instagram, follow us on Spotify at Totally Unqualified Pod.
Write us questions.
Write us questions, ask advice, let
Parents,
us know.
write in with questions and we'll ask our younger cohorts what they think of all these things.
And we will see you next
See
week.
you next week. This was fun.